happens in La Libertad and La Libertad that occurred during the 2012 Negros Oriental earthquake. Ayan. So makikita nyo dito na just by looking at this photo, meron na kayong pwedeng mga ma-infer or ma-interpret dun sa mechanism no mass wasting. So one is that you can still see intact na mga vegetation. So in particular, itong mga coconut trees, yan. And then you can also see intact na structures like itong mga bahay. So, and then you can clearly see the crown of the landslide. So we can at least we can infer na when this material moved down slope ay nag-occur siya in a large mass. Parang coherent, relatively coherent block siya. Kasi nga, intact pa yung ibang mga vegetation at saka yung ibang mga structures. So, hindi siya katulad na parang flow na namimix na everything. So, in this case, so pwedeng nag-move yung na larger mass yung materials. All right. So just a definition ng hill slopes. So they may be rock slopes and soil mantled hill slopes. So as you can see here, there are parts of the hill slope na vegetated and then there are parts of the hill slope na bare rock or pwedeng soil mantled. So again, mga ilang examples to ng these seem to be shallow seated na mga landslides. So, ibig sabihin, medyo superficial yung pagbagsak ng materials. And then there are others, katulad nito, katulad nung previous na example natin. Go back to 30. So, previous na, ayaw. Sige, anyway. So, na deep-seated. So you have shallow-seated and deep-seated na mga landslides. So seated is S-E-A-T-E-D. So kapag deep-seated, so usually may kinalaman na to sa mga bedding planes o kaya mga fractures or joints. Kaya mas malalim yung pinanggagalingan ng source material mo. Kaya siya tinatawag na deep-seated landslide. All right. So, this is the conventional or yung typical na slope units when describing a hill slope profile. So, this is the hill slope. Ayan yung profile niya. This is a cross-section. And then this is a 9-unit land surface model of a hill slope. So, that's why you can see here 9 slope forms or units. So, starting from the interfluve, all the way to the channel bed. So 9 lahat to. 3, 6, 9. Okay? So that's why it's called a 9-unit land surface model. So makikita nyo in brown text yung mga processes na governing processes doon sa mga specific units na yon. So for example, dito sa fall phase, commonly dito nangyayari yung mga rockfall or yung mga rock slides or falling and sliding. And then dito sa concave na part nangyayari yung deposition. And then dito yung source material mo. So kung in a simpler form, pwede nyo tong i-describe na 3-unit 3-unit surface model or 3-unit hill slope model where you have the convex slope, you have the fall face, and then you have the concave slope. So, mas madali yun. 3 units lang. Alright? So, for mass wasting, you're already familiar with the different forms. And there are several ways how we describe mass wasting processes. So una is by mechanism. So, meron kang fall, meron kang slide, and then meron kang flow. And then meron ding fourth na ginagamit yung subsidence or yung lateral spreading. So the second way na paano tayo mag-describe ng mass wasting processes ay by the material. So makikita natin meron kang soil creep, meron kang rock slide, meron kang rock avalanche. Other materials include earth, meron kang debris, alright? And then also related to the mechanism is the moisture content. So we can describe landslides na having low moisture content or having high moisture content. So ito lang yung table form ng classification. So we can describe mass movements by type. Okay, type of movement. So fall, topple, slide, spread, flow, and then a combination, of course, yung complex. And then yung type of material. So pwedeng bedrock, okay, so rockfall, rock slide. And then you have the soils, ayan, or debris. So meron kang may earth, and then meron kang debris. Okay? And then, yung sabi ko nga is you can also describe them by the moisture content. So with low moisture content, you have the granular flows, and then with high moisture content, you have the slurry flows. So what I want to emphasize here is that for debris avalanches, they are among the fastest and most damaging of the mass wasting types, mass wasting processes. But if you note here, hindi naman talaga sila ganun kabasa. Okay? So, hindi exclusively or hindi necessarily related yung damage doon sa moisture. Oftentimes, syempre, more damaging yung mga flows kasi mas mahaba yung run-out distance nila, yung extent ng nako-cover nila. But in the case of debris avalanches, mahaba din yung run-out, yung extent, pero hindi necessarily if you look at the diagram here, hindi sila talaga basang-basa as flows. They're actually relatively dry compared sa mga flows. Pero it's because of the sheer volume kaya mahaba yung run out ng mga debris avalanches. Okay? So just to introduce another term for debris avalanches, so ayan, para may maalala kayong another term, yung Sturstrom. Sorry, hindi ako German, hindi ako nag-German language, pero ayan, tandaan niyo tong Sturstrom is just debris avalanche. So this is an example of a debris avalanche during the Kumamoto earthquake ng 2016. Yan, 2016 Kumamoto earthquake. So you can see the scale of this debris avalanche kasi ito yung mga backhoe, merong buildings dyan. This is the bridge. Actually this bridge connects to this bridge where the photo was taken from. Yeah, so yun yung extent ng debris avalanche. So for rockfall, so these are just some of the terms that you need to remember, yung angle of reach or the Farböschung. Farböschung is also a German term. Ang ibig lang sabihin niya is the shadow angle. So ito. So ito yung run out distance. So yung farthest na material mo, this sets the extent of the run out distance. So yung angle na to, measured from the horizontal, this horizontal is called the shadow angle. So it's also called the angle of reach or the Farböschung. Okay? And then, yung mga zones, okay, parang ano rin yan, parang river profile where you have the source and then you have the transport zone, you have the depositional zone. So dito, meron ka ring zone of evacuation and then the zone of accumulation. So yung acceleration and runout zones respectively. So for slides naman, yung kanina, ano to, for rockfall, ito for slides, so you are very much familiar with this already. So meron ka may crown and then meron kang toe. So again, the toe demarcates the run-out path or yung run-out distance. So usually yung mga flows having higher moisture content, they have the farthest run-out distances. Okay, and then you have these terracets or terraces, ayan. Terracets kasi they're smaller in scale. And then you have cracks, itong mga transverse cracks. And then in between the cracks ay yung mga ridges. Okay? Ano pa ba? So, ano ba itong nagde-define ng sliding plane. So you might wonder, bakit ganito ang deep-seated landslide? So ito yung isang example ng deep-seated kasi inuukan niya at a deeper portion yung slope. So again, itong mga sliding planes nyo can be contacts, lithological contacts, pwede siyang bedding plane, pwede siyang mga joints. Ayan, so yung mga joints kasi they create wedges. Yan. So pwedeng, kunyari, meron kayong conjugate. Yan, may conjugate joints kayo. Tapos, kung naka-daylight siya towards, kung naka-daylight siya, so let's say towards open space. So itong V in between dito, yan, yung material na to. So it's like, it will likely slide kasi meron siya, bounded siya by weak planes. Okay? So yun yung mga deep examples ng deep-seated landslides. So in terms of stability, one of the more convenient, not necessarily simple, pero yung isa sa mga straightforward na ways to assess slope stability is the factor of safety. So it's the ratio of resisting forces to driving forces, where you have the strength of the slope of the slope materials divided by the shear stress, okay, or yung mga driving forces. So this is the shear strength and then this is the shear stress. So yung resisting forces mo are these forces contributing to the upward force, itong small f, and then yung driving force mo ay yung nagko-contribute dito sa nagko-contribute dun sa downward movement, itong red na arrow. Okay, so you can clearly see ano bang nagko-control ng resisting force. So, yes, merong angle, and then yung cohesion ng material, gaano ba ka-compact yung bedrock mo, okay, yung moisture content, andyan din. And then for the movement down slope, so almost similar din naman, but may kinalaman dyan yung weight nung material. So for the strength, ayan, nandiyan yung cohesion, internal friction, and then for the shear stress ay basically ito, yung weight and then the angle. So in terms of applications using DEMs, I've shown this earlier from the geomorphometry slide. So aside from gradient aspect, we can also derive curvature and the curvature. So pwede siyang profile and plan. So let's say yung mukha ninyo is the hill slope, okay? So yung hill slope profile nyo is from your noo all the way to your chin. So yung profile curvature is that curvature, okay? So from yung noo to your chin, okay? Pero yung plan curvature is yung curvature niya from your cheek to cheek, okay? So profile curvature and then plan curvature. So ano ba ang measure ng curvature? Yeah, concavity and convexity. So yung noo ko is, for example, convex. From the noo to the nose, it's concave, and so on. So ganun yung measure ng curvature. And then there are other secondary attributes that can be derived from DEMs, but this depends dun sa sensors or dun sa equipment na nakasakay dun sa satellite when the data was taken. So hindi lahat ng DEMs may ganitong information. So kunwari may wetness index or may irradiance. So again, it depends dun sa equipment na naka-attach dun sa satellite or dun sa nag-take nung terrain data. So similar to the karstification potential, we can use several parameters to come up with the susceptibility model like this one. So this is a landslide, earthquake-induced landslide susceptibility model for Bohol Island, and we were trying to assess yung likelihood ng landslide occurrences during an earthquake. So, ang scenario dito was the 2013 Bohol earthquake. 2013 Bohol earthquake. So, we did the landslide susceptibility model. So, similar sa GIS, you have geology, you have Since earthquake-induced ito, you can have a layer of peak ground acceleration, you can have a layer of faults, layer of land cover, lahat ng pwede nyong maisip na pwedeng na marirelate ninyo with landslide occurrences. You can integrate those in a GIS platform and do susceptibility modeling. So here we can see na we tested the model by plotting the actual occurrences of landslides during the Bohol earthquake. And you can see here na fairly okay naman yung mga plots, di ba? So okay naman sila, they plot over those areas na modeled to have high susceptibility to earthquake-induced landslides. All right, so let's go back to Slido. Okay. May questions pa bala. Balikan natin yan maya-maya. Okay. Let's go to hill slopes. All right. Sige. 3 minutes to answer. All right, sige. So let's see the results. Okay. A form of rapid mass movement, blah, blah, blah. A slurry that flows down slope. Okay, debris flow. Very good. Ayan. Parang ito na yung pinakamataas na percentage nyo, 98%. And then, long-term sum of processes that cause the wearing away of the Earth's surface by moving water, leading to a reduction in elevation and relief of landforms and landscapes. All right, very good. So anong kaibahan ng denudation sa erosion? So erosion is of denudation. Oops. Let me just, paano ba to i-adjust? Okay. So Anong kaibahan ng erosion tsaka denudation? So yun nga, yung denudation is an umbrella process. So lahat ng processes involved para mag-wear away yung land, leading to a reduction in the landscape. So yung erosion is one, okay? Doon sa mga processes na yun ng denudation. Yung karstification, that leads to karst collapse, yan, subsidence. So essentially is also part of the denudation processes. So lahat na yun. Alright, so next, shadow angle. Ayan, for Boschong. Okay, sige. So marami-rami yung nakamiss nung discussion natin doon. So 68% lang yung nakatama ng for Boschong. Alright, sige. So let's look at some of your questions. Okay. Ano po ang nangyayari sa tooth kung masaturate siya ng water? Madilute po ba siya or malilithify? So if tooth is saturated with water, siguro sa kung ang context nito ay lubog siya sa tubig, so it will be dissolved. It will be eroded. Okay. So depende kasi tooth is essentially lithified naman na siya. It's lithified ash. Ayan. So, may mga pyroclastic materials na nagkakaroon sila ng mga holes. Yan. Pero this is because of sometimes wind erosion, kaya nagkakaroon siya ng holes. Hindi siya nadadilute, hindi siya nadidissolve, pero pwede siyang mag-produce ng ganong karst-like features, mga taphony, ayan, pwede siya mag-produce ng mga ganon kapag exposed to other erosional agents like yun. There is water, there is wind, yun. So I'm not sure if I addressed your question correctly. Pero tooth is already lithified. Yan. It's lithified ash. All right, so I don't see questions related sa hill slopes. So perhaps we can move on to the next one. So we have limited time na lang naman. Sige. So, siguro makuha natin lahat nitong address natin lahat nitong mga quizzes. Why don't we proceed kasi 11:16 na. Why don't we answer the quizzes muna and then pwede ako mag-insert na lang ng a bit of discussion while we answer the quizzes. Okay? Sige. So let's first start with the coastal environments. Yan. Sige. So you have 3 minutes to answer. Sige, maka 40 ano lang tayo, 40 respondents and then we can proceed with the discussion. All right. Sige, so for coastal environments, so number one, it's the process describing the movement of sediments along a coast by waves that approach at an angle to the shore, but then the swash recedes directly away from it. So, ang hinahanap dito ay yung process related dun sa movement of sediments. So, pagpapasok siya and then it goes back sa sea. Okay? So, the correct answer here is the longshore drift. Okay? So, remember that the longshore drift refers to that process of sand transport. Yan. So, when it reaches or when it's deposited on land and then when it gets transported back seaward. So, yun yung longshore drift. So, iba siya sa longshore current. So, I hope you remember itong process na to ng longshore drift. And then yung rip currents is a form of current, parang longshore currents. So, those are forms of currents. Yung wave refraction is what happens sa wave kapag nag-dissipate yung kanyang, kapag nagre-refract yung wave kapag um, hindi pare-pareho yung velocity niya when it reaches the shoreline. Okay? And then nagbabounce back. So yun yung wave refraction. And wave refraction occurs when, nangyayari siya kasi hindi pare-pareho ng, tawag dito, hindi pare-pareho yung configuration ng coastline. Kasi irregular yung coastline. Hindi lang naman straight yung coastline. So by irregular yung coastline mo, meron kang promontories, meron kang bays na papasok. So that's why when waves reach itong different parts na to ng coast, nag-iiba-iba yung angles nila. And hence yung velocities. So forming or producing refracted waves. And then yung wave shoaling is just the breaking of the wave kapag pagpapasok na yung wave to shallower bathymetry. So nagbe-break na siya, nagdi-dissipate yung energy niya. So for the landforms, it's a type of bar or beach in which one end connects to land and the other end extends into the sea. Okay, one end connects to land and the other end extends into the sea. So ang sagot dito is a spit. Okay? So ang keywords nyo dito ay yung nag-extend siya into the sea. Kapag tombolo kasi, it's also a sandbar, it's a type of bar, pero yung land nyo nagko-connect siya to another land. Or in this case, it can be an islet or it can be an island. So yung bar that connects these two features, yun yung tombolo. Alright? So ito, nag-extend lang siya into the sea without connecting an islet. Okay? So yung headland is basically just your promontories. Ito yung mga naka-jut out na rocky parts ng coastline ninyo. And then yung mga tidal inlets, so these are small channel-like, or hindi channel-like, pwede siyang channels na hindi sila necessarily rivers, o magkaiba yung rivers Pero if you look closely sa Google Earth, siguro sa mga areas ninyo, meron kayong mga channel features close to the coast, pero hindi sila nagko-connect to upstream. Hindi na sila kumukonect sa upland areas. So they are channels produced by inundating or incoming waves, okay? And then magkikreate ng mga lagoons. So basically, nagkakaroon ka ng pools of water malapit sa coast and then they produce channels. So yun yung tinatawag na tidal inlet. Indentations, all right? So these are called coastal notches. Okay. Sige, very good. So next sa ating lecture, ay, let me go back, ay tectonic, and then fluvial, and then volcanic. Sige, tapusin na lang natin itong mga quizzes. So we proceed with tectonic. Yan. Okay, sige. So I'll just wait for the majority to answer and then mag-proceed na tayo sa discussion. Okay, sige. So, let's start with this. Yan. Which of the following active faults is predominantly a reverse fault? Naku! 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 Ayan, ano, papalit pa ba kayo ng answers? Tingnan natin. Okay. Sige, pwede pa kayo magpalit ng sagot. Pag-isipan niyo maigi ang mga choices niyo in life. Okay. Okay. Ayan, ayan. May mga nagpapalit na ng sagot. Ayan. Sige, galingan nyo. Ah, ano na, ano na. Oh, Google pa more, Google pa more. Sige, pakita na natin yung sagot. Alright. Very good, very good. Yan. Mga change of heart. So, predominantly, meaning it's, kaya ginagamit yung predominantly kasi as we know, most faults would behave in an oblique manner. So, meaning, while there is a dominant kinematics, dominant fault movement, so meron at meron pa rin siyang minor na component. So, for example, if dominantly reverse siya, it's likely na magkakaroon pa rin yan ng strike-slip component. So for example, ang sagot dito, ang mga sagot dito, ang mga reverse faults ay Inabanga and Abra River fault. So they're predominantly reverse faults, pero meron silang strike-slip component. So for example, yung Inabanga fault or North Bohol fault, meron siyang minor right lateral component, while yung Abra River fault, which generated the recent 2022 earthquake in Northern Luzon, meron siyang minor left lateral component. So similarly, yung Digdig fault, Surigao fault, both are sections of the Philippine fault zone. So therefore, they are dominantly left lateral, pero meron silang minor na dip-slip components. Okay? Okay? Sige, good job. Yan. sa mga nagpalit ng nagpalit ng sagot. Okay, so this one, siguro balikan natin to mamaya kasi kailangan ng visuals para ma-appreciate nyo tong tanong na to and yung sagot nyo dito. So, which tectonic setting enables the formation of a sag pond or basin? May mga nagpapalit-palit pa ng sagot ah. Sige lang, sige lang. Go ahead, go ahead. Kasi this is the reason why we're having these quizzes. Kasi para hopefully merong ma-retain sa inyo. Kasi ako personally, mas naalala ko yung bagay kapag mali ako eh. I mean, mali yung understanding ko. So, in this case, meron kang, this is for strike slip settings. So, meron kang sag pond and then meron kang basin. Siguro, let's go to that diagram para ma-appreciate niyo yung figure na yun. Let's go to 67, slide 67. Okay, so here we have different geometries of strike slip faults. So top view ito, top view. So we have two strike slip faults. So meron kang right lateral. So same, may right lateral and then meron kang right lateral. So dito sa bottom panels, meron ka pa ding dalawang strike slip faults. Parehas lang right lateral. Lahat ng faults na nandito ay right lateral, kung napansin ninyo. Okay? But notice how, depende sa configuration nung mga faults, whether nasa left-hand side siya or nasa left stepping siya or right stepping, iba yung mafo-form mo na features. So, in this case, so meron kang right stepping. So, if you're standing here, kailangan samahan niyo ako dito. Kailangan imagine niyo tumayo kayo dito sa fault and then you look towards this direction. Tumingin kayo dito sa part na to. Okay? So yung fault na ito is to your right. Tama ba? Na-imagine niyo ba yon? So tumayo kayo dito and then look at this direction. Look at, i-annotate ko. Let us annotate. So, tumayo kayo dyan, and then look at this direction. Okay? And then, tumayo kayo. So, pwede naman, yan, kayo to. Kayo yung, ito yung ulo nyo. Tumayo kayo dyan. Look at this direction. Okay? So, ito naman, tumayo kayo dito. And then, look at this direction. Okay? So, in this case, okay, so sa configuration na to, kung nakatingin kayo sa direction na to, yung isang fault is situated to your right. Tama ba? Tama. Okay? So, similarly, kung tumayo naman kayo, gawa tayong isa pang ulo. So, kung dito naman kayo tatayo, and you will look towards this direction, okay, yung fault is nasa right nyo pa din. Tama? Okay? So, kailangan clear to sa inyo Pwede nyo namang balikan. So, similarly, kung dito nyo to gagawin, so, ang ibig lang sabihin nito, this is a right stepping fault. Okay, right stepping. It steps to your right. So, kahit na dito kayo tumayo, yung fault na to is to your right. So, right stepping fault siya. Okay? So, itong nasa baba naman, kung gawin nyo yung similar, tumayo kayo dito and then go look towards this direction, ang fault na nakikita nyo ay to your left. Okay? To your left. And then kung dito naman kayo tatayo, so ganun pa din, yung nakikita nyong fault na to is again to your left. So this is a left stepping fault. So i-annotate natin ulit. So this is So this is a left stepping right lateral fault. Okay? Sige, oops, wait. Burahin natin. Okay? So this is, ano nga sabi natin dito? This is a right stepping right lateral fault. So this is a left stepping right lateral fault. Okay? So, ang ituturo ko sa inyo, magagamit nyo to in the future. Kapag parehong letters, you form the depressions or yung mga sagpons. Okay? Sagpons or the basins. Okay? Kapag magkaiba yung letter, okay, so you form the ridges. Okay? Mga pressure ridges. Okay? Or pop-up structures. So, so similarly, kung parehong letter, so kung meron akong left stepping, left lateral fault, ganun din. Okay? So kung meron akong right stepping na left lateral fault, you also form the pressure ridges. Alright? So tandaan nyo to, important tong ano na to. Important tong mga to. Parehong letter, you form sagpons or basins. Magkaibang letter, you form pressure ridges or uplifted blocks. Alright. So, balikan natin yung tanong. Okay. So, kung meron tayong sagpons ngayon, so kung meron tayong sagpons, saka lang parehong letter, di ba? So, meron kang left stepping, left lateral fault, so LL, and you have a right stepping, right lateral fault, RR. Clear? Clear? Okay? Sige, very good. Now we go to the next question. Okay. So, slip rate ang sagot dito. So, it's basically just the displacement over time. Kaya where you get the slip rate. So, ano ang application nito? So, for example, nagkaroon ka ng earthquake and then it ruptured the surface. So, nagkaroon ka ng offset. Alright? So, yung offset na yon, let's say it's 10 meters. So, yung 10 meters na yon was produced during this particular earthquake. So, may time yung earthquake. So, kunwari, 2,000 years yung earthquake. Yung the last time na nangyari yung earthquake na yon. And that's how you get the slip rate. Okay? Okay. Sige. So, yung time interval component dito is the age of the earthquake. So, kunwari, ang offset ng 1990 earthquake was 110 kilometers. So si 110 kilometers, i-divide nyo by 1990. So, yun yung magiging slip rate nung, ano na yun? Slip rate nung fault na yun. Okay? So, yung recurrence interval is the, kumbaga, how frequent an event will occur. So, yung recurrence interval naman is not exclusive sa faulting. So, pwede rin naman siya sa floods, di ba? So, meron kayong tinatawag na mga 100-year flood. So, ibig sabihin, ang recurrence ng 100-year flood is 1 over 100. Okay, what is 1 over 100? So, that's 1%. So, ibig sabihin, ang 100-year flood means it has a 1% chance of occurring at any given time. So, yun yung sinasabi ng recurrence interval sa context ng flood hazards. Yan. So, madalas yun naririnig 100-year flood, 50-year flood, 10-year flood. So, if it's a 1% chance, yung 100-year flood, ibig sabihin, hindi siya ganun ka-frequent na type ng flood. So, we often associate 100-year floods with those rare or unusual events And then, relatively mas damaging sila kasi mas malaking extent yung flood depth nila. Okay, so next topic natin would be all right, so ganito na lang. Let me stop share and then let's go back here. Ayan. Kasi it's already 11:40 and I'm sure pagod na kayo. Okay. So meron pa tayong fluvial at saka may volcanic quizzes pa tayo. Siguro if I would like to offer this option na kung gusto niyo mag part 2 ng review class, we can schedule ulit with the organizers. So I'll be okay with having a part 2 para din mas maano natin, ma-discuss ko yung details ng other environments. All right, so for now, let's take a rest. It's already almost lunchtime. And then I'll wait for the organizers to reach out in case gusto niyo ng part 2 ng geomorph lecture. All right? Sige, so I'll keep the Slido active. So if meron kayong questions questions ngayon that arose from the lectures today. And then meron kayong um, tanong na dati hindi niyo hanggang ngayon hindi niyo pa rin ma-figure out ano yung explanation. Just drop them sa Slido dun sa Q&A. And then i-discuss ko na lang when we meet again. Just in case we meet again for the part 2 of the lecture. All right, does that sound okay sa SUG?
Yes po, Doc. Thank you po for your suggestion. We will surely bring that up to our higher ups, and we would like to have you for a second session if that warrants in your schedule po. So
All right.
as of the moment na lang po, Doc, we will still present this certificate of recognition for you that the Society of USEP Geologists has prepared. So allow me to present my screen for a while.
I just want a little more, baby. Feel like picking up the phone. See the songs on, yeah.